Bom dia, bom, no dia passado para tudo isso, vamos falar, né, o de hoje considerado como dado, matéria das páginas 64 e 65. Para efetuar essa página 64, são necessários dois áudios que eu vou deixar no vídeo em si.
Track 22. Extreme temperatures. Simone.
Well, it was when I was living in Cairo, and it was in the middle of the summer, so it was extremely hot, between 40 and 45 degrees Celsius, or about 104 to 113 degrees Fahrenheit. And stupidly, we decided to go dancing. And we went to this nightclub, and we must have danced for hours and hours, and it was very hot inside the nightclub, and we were sweating profusely. And by the time we came out, it was about 5 o'clock in the morning, and we decided, oh, wouldn't it be a great idea to go to the pyramids to see the sunrise? So we jumped in a taxi, and the taxi was also pretty stuffy and hot, and we must have been starting to dehydrate at this point. Anyway, we got to the pyramids, and the sun was just starting to come up. And in Egypt, as soon as the sun comes up, the temperature rises dramatically. But we were so excited to see the pyramids that we decided just to go and walk and see. At this point, a man approached us and asked us if we wanted to borrow or rent his motorcycle, and so we said yes. So my friend and I, we jumped onto the motorcycle and raced out into the desert, only to find after about 10, 15 minutes that the motorcycle was kind of old, and suddenly it broke down. So we were miles from anywhere and had to push this motorcycle to get back. I was the one at the back pushing the motorcycle, and of course I was using lots of energy. I was losing a lot of fluid, and it was getting hotter and hotter. Anyway, we ended up having to walk back to the town to give the motorcycle back to the man, and by this time, we were really fed up and tired and very hot, so we decided to go home. By the time we got home, I started to feel a little bit strange. I had a bit of a headache, and I decided to go straight to bed. Anyway, I woke up about half an hour later feeling pretty confused and sick, a little bit nauseous, and I realized that my brain wasn't working properly and that, in fact, I probably had heat exhaustion. Anyway, it wasn't very pleasant, and it was a lesson in what not to do in such hot temperatures. I've never done that again. I always carry my salt tablets with me.
Track 23. Anna.
The time that I was very, very cold was a time when I was working in a small town in central Russia, and I was going to see some friends who lived on the outskirts of town, and they were worried about me getting lost, and they said that they'd come to the tram stop to meet me. But I wanted to be independent, so I told them, "Don't be silly, of course I'll find it." And on the day of the visit, it was very, very cold. It might have been minus 30 degrees Celsius or minus 22 degrees Fahrenheit, but it might have been colder than that, and it was so cold that at some of the tram stops and bus stops, there were bonfires lit, special street fires to keep people warm. And I think it was a day when the schools were closed, when the children didn't go to school because it was so cold. So I put on all the clothes that I had, all the scarves and sweaters, and I took the tram to the outskirts of the town where my friends lived way out at the end of the line, and I got off the tram, which was heated, into this cold white world. And it was so cold that when you breathed in, Little balls of ice formed in your nostrils. You had to keep a scarf over your mouth and nose. About a minute, 2 minutes after getting off the tram, my feet and hands were already hurting, they were so cold. So I was walking around trying to find the apartment, but it was completely anonymous, this landscape. And there were these huge snow-covered white apartment buildings. These buildings, 15 or 16 floors, but they all looked exactly the same, and I couldn't find the name of the street either. And it was very, very quiet, and the tram had gone. And I began, actually, to get very frightened because I was feeling so, so cold. My feet and hands had gone beyond hurting almost. I couldn't feel them anymore. It was pretty difficult to breathe because of the icy scarf over my mouth and nose, and I just couldn't find where they lived. And I asked an old lady the way, but my Russian wasn't good enough. She didn't understand me. And I was beginning to really seriously panic when suddenly in the distance I saw my friends. They'd come to find me, and they took me home.
Okay, that's it. These are the audios. See you next week. Bye.